Okay, if you are familiar with the channel, you know that my background is mostly in armoured warfare, and specifically armoured artillery, self-propelled guns. But as part of this series where we're looking at Masters of the Air and the US Army Air Force, I'm also visiting this location, which is Upottery Airfield. Now, the reason this place is so important is because people like Dick Winters from the series and the book Band of Brothers, of course 506 PIR, left this airfield in their transport aircraft to be dropped behind enemy lines on that day of days. So this is a really special location. Never been here before, and hopefully we're going to see some sites which you wouldn't ordinarily see because they're all abandoned, and I have permission to be here, which is always very important when you're making these types of videos. So I really hope you enjoy it. This is all new to me, so you know, viewers of this will probably know a lot more about it than I do. But I'm really excited to get stuck in and have a look around some of the buildings. You're about to see a Jackal drive by, which is a British Army reconnaissance vehicle. This is the end of the runway. That is the view back up towards the end of the runway. Right on top of a plateau here, probably one of the highest features around. And there's always seems to be this constant wind. It's quite windy here. Hopefully you're not picking it up on the mic. And again, I imagine that is exactly why this location was picked. Pretty exposed, but it's lovely, beautiful countryside actually. You can even see the original markings on this part of the airfield, which is awesome. I think it's so good that this stuff's been returned back to agriculture so that people can crack on with their lives after the war. But it's also really good that lots of it is still here. You can still come and see it, which is really cool. And this is the control tower. This is World War II control tower at Upottery. Now I'm going to have a look around the outside because the lighting will be better. The sunlight is absolutely gorgeous today. Look at that.
So what I didn't know at this time was that somebody else was in the control tower, waiting in the shadows for me to enter.
I'm now on the top floor in the control tower, sorry. And this place is basically turned over to livestock, so there's bedding and all sorts on the floors. But this is the view out onto the runway.
And there were a few occasions where I heard scuffing downstairs and movement.
And so from this location, they would have watched, you know, the troop transports taking off, heading off towards Normandy. Really cool. There's a view out the window towards the runway. What a beautiful evening. There's a runway right there. So let's try and have a look around the control tower then. So the lighting is pretty bad in the corners and in the rooms. It's almost pitch black, but hopefully you can see well enough so you can see the rooms aren't necessarily that large. But inside they would have had all the flight manifests, the control room, mapping. This is the largest room, right at the top that you'd expect. I'll try and get a view across the room so you can see. So it is quite a large room. And this is the room with the balcony on it and the views out over towards the runway. Now I'm going to head back down the stairs Can't get up onto the roof, which I think you originally could do. There's a smaller build floor up there. We'll take a look downstairs. Yeah, it's just replicated downstairs, really. What I'll probably do is put a plan of the structure on the video. I don't know a great deal about this particular area of World War II at all. My background, as I said at the start, is not in US Army Air Force, or definitely not RAF stuff. But I've really enjoyed this. It's been quite cool to get a look around and see what's out there.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to capture it on film. It happened when I wasn't filming, but I finally came face to face with the other person in the control tower. And it was a lone sheep. And yes, it did cause me to jump out of my skin.
Shit! That's all right, mate, with Tommy's. We're feeding Bosch. Is all this real? Yeah. Well, some of it's from the Hermans, somebody's tail is knocked up. A few lads, actually, so I can get your mince pies on some of this Jerry Clobber, if you know what I mean. Not really.
So, I've got permission to be on this land. This is private. You must seek permission before coming here. And the light is just stunning this evening. This is one of the buildings contemporary with 1944. So this would have been here when the soldiers stepped off to get onto their aircraft and fly across to Normandy. So this is a really quite a cool building to have a look at. I'm going to see if I can get inside and have a look. So the light's beautiful this evening. You can see one of these buildings here. It's just used for storage at the moment. They're agricultural buildings now, turned over to farmers after the war. And you can see if I walk around this side, it's not in great shape.
On the door, one of them, it's got Sergeant Quartermaster Stores.
Oh, really?
Cool, look at it in here. This is what it is. Here we are.
So it looks like QM Sergeant's office?
Yeah, it could be. Looking out of the bottom of the airplane at night.
The owner then took me to the AML bomb trainer building, which was used to train bombardiers on sighting systems. This is a three-story building, darkened out on the lower floors with windows only on the top floors. The pilots would then look through an aperture and view rolling images on the floor below them.
Yep, bombs away, that's where our target is. And
People used to come here when Dennis, because Dennis, when I bought it, it was, and I'm not exaggerating, it was that deep in pigeon shit.
oh, 50 years, 60 years of pigeon shit.
Like pigeon nests, wooden pigeon nests, all around
Yeah.
the walls.
Wow, so this is inside the bomb trainer. That's amazing. And there's the viewing hole where they conduct their training. That's awesome.
The owner was then really keen to race off again and show me all of the buildings that still existed on his land, from parachute storage buildings to radar buildings and all sorts in between.
With an old fiberglass window in it. That's the one. There's not many of them left in the country either.
Never seen one, and it's intact. How have you managed to do that?
It's extremely lucky because they used to keep calves in here.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But the important thing is that for some members of the 2nd Battalion 506 PAR, this would be the last time that they were in England on solid ground. For example, Lieutenant Meehan, who was then the OC of Easy Company, died when his aircraft crashed in Normandy, of course along with the crew and the other members of Headquarters Company. Their last day on Earth was spent here at Upottery.
I'm stood here just outside of Upottery Airfield, and this is an original sentry post that would have been occupied by the soldiers and the airmen based here in order to basically stand guard and prevent people from entering the airfield area. Now, bear in mind, when they commandeered the land, what they would actually do is sometimes they would encapsulate villages and hamlets inside that area which is protected. What it means is that locals would have to provide passes to prove that they had access to the area, just to go to their homes or to work on the land, and etc. I'm just going to pan to the right and show you the view from this sentry box. Now, I know that some of the people who watch these videos have spent a lot of time on guard duty and have been in the forces before on sentry, but just look at that view. Isn't that stunning? Southwest of England, beautiful rolling hills, beautiful countryside. And you can see that we're on a bit of a crossroads here, so it's a perfect place to put the sentry position. And every year it looks as though memorials are left to those who departed from this airfield and went to Normandy, and also those who were based here and obviously worked here. So it's quite a nice little location that I wanted to show you, the only surviving sentry position for this airfield. And this memorial here to the 82nd Airborne says, "Come and stand in memory of men who fought and died. They gave their lives in Normandy. Remember them with pride." Couldn't have said it better myself. And of course, 101st Airborne are represented at the bottom as well. Now, the memorials and the wreaths are placed inside for a bit of protection. The weather hasn't been great.
In the coming weeks, I will release an exclusive series of videos to accompany the much anticipated Masters of the Air. I hope you've enjoyed this show. Up next, I take you to the home of the Bloody 100th and visit an abandoned underground bunker on the airfield. The forthcoming series will take you to the accommodation that they lived in during the war, the houses and the huts that they stayed in after they had conducted their daytime raids over Germany. I take you to the medical facilities that treated their injuries and the social clubs they used to relax. They're even covered in murals painted on the walls by the aircrews. We even take you to see the original morgue used to store the bodies of those who were killed during these missions. This is going to be a brilliant insight into the real Masters of the Air. I hope you enjoy it. Until next time.